Hi guys, welcome back to episode 4 of Everyone Loves Charlie. I'm super excited for today's episode. We're talking all things fitness, food, celiac. It's a super exciting episode. I'm joined today by Annabel. Annabel, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for having me. So my name's Annabel, in case you didn't guess that. Also known as Annabel Active on Instagram. So I am an online coach, personal trainer, also for celiac. It's in my bio, in case you didn't know already, and I talk about it enough. Yeah, that's about me. That's my personality, celiac and fitness.
Celiac and fitness. It's a good personality to have. I'm sure lots of people are going to have lots of questions because I think it's a thing that actually... Celiac is something that a lot of people don't actually understand what it actually means, do they? And obviously we have Christmas coming up. We are so close to Christmas. This must be quite I don't want to say it's a difficult time, obviously, because you know yourself and you know what you should and shouldn't eat.
Yeah.
But I can imagine, do people assume that this time of year is going to be a really hard time of year for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been celiac for 20 years. So when I get people ask similar questions, for me, I'm kind of like, no, it's fine. But I think back to when I was first diagnosed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be really difficult. And also a big thing people don't know about celiac disease is like the impact it has on like your relationship with food, yourself, your body image, all those sorts of things. So there was a period of my life where, yeah, I used to dread Christmas and I didn't really enjoy it because of all the stuff around food. But now it's fine.
It's like any change, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
It's that initial accept that you are going to have to make a change is the hard bit, and then navigating that change. But once you've made that change, it's just getting to that point, isn't it? It's that transition stage is where it's like messes with your head.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. And I guess it's like anything in kind of the fitness world or when it comes to nutrition and all of that, it's just making it a habit and a new routine. And for me, it was cutting out gluten, and now I don't think twice about it. But
so you mentioned it was like 20 years ago that you got a diagnosis. So let's turn back time. So pre-celiac Annabel, was this something that you'd always had as a child and your immunity was down and you were like, what could this be? Or did it suddenly come on, at a later age?
Yeah, so I was always really small. I mean, I'm not that big now, but I was always really small growing up, like way smaller than my friends. I was also really pale. Again, not that I'm pale right now. I fake tan religiously. But
nice hand. If you want to sponsor us, let us know. We love you.
Yes, literally. But I was always small, always really pale, also really fussy, but like with basic like kid foods, like pizza, bread. I just didn't like anything.
Interesting. So your body was kind of already telling you at a young age that you didn't want to eat that.
Yeah, I guess it was like my body's natural way of being like, don't eat this stuff. And then one day when I was 9, I came home from school and I was like, Mum, I've got a weird lump on my neck, which turned out to just be a gland. But obviously my mum was like, that's a cause of concern.
It's not normal, because obviously if your glands are up, it's a sign that your immunity is like fighting something, right?
Yeah, or like even worst case scenario, she thought it could have been something else.
Yeah.
So had loads of tests. The test came back that I was completely anemic, so I had no iron, which was why I was so pale and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a key symptom of celiac disease, being anemic. So then they did more tests and then found out I was celiac. But back then, like no one really knew about it, and there was no gluten-free food available. And
if it was that kind of like, I remember I had an intolerance test, which I actually is just not. It's not the same, nowhere near the same. When anyone says it's the same, it's just completely wrong. And I remember my mum put me this like gluten-free thing, and it was like back then when I think I had to do it when I was like 14. The food was like, it was trash. Like, there was just nothing available. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awful. So now like you get so much everywhere, like restaurants cater for celiacs and all the gluten-free stuff in supermarkets. But yeah, back then it was.
Because it's one of the real serious allergies of food, isn't it? There's like lactose, celiac, and is it maybe fish or something? I can't remember what the other one is, but there's like 3 major ones which are. Yeah. People are like, I can't eat that because it upsets my stomach. Celiac. Let's tell people, because I think people get this so confused. What is celiac and how does it actually affect you? It's not just an intolerance.
No, so it's an autoimmune disease. So it's basically your body attacking itself. I mean, I'm not very good with the science of all of this, but basically it like affects your intestine, your small intestine. So if you're a celiac and you don't know it and you're still eating gluten and stuff, it basically you can't absorb all the other nutrients from all the other food, which is why for me, like I wasn't growing, and people have all these different symptoms, and that's why it goes misdiagnosed all the time. You get told it's like IBS or like you're just intolerant and things like that. So and there's no cure. So the only way to manage it is by being gluten-free.
It is so interesting, isn't it? How, so many people can eat it, and there's just this, a few people will get this thing where it just completely, because it makes you so ill, doesn't it? I mean, one of my friends, Bella, she's a celiac too.
Yeah.
And she was, you know Bella, don't you? Yeah. So me and Annabel, actually, we know each other. We met. This is a tangent, but we actually met. Where did was it a New Year's Eve party? Yeah, we met at a New Year's Eve party.
It was the first New Year's Eve after COVID, so everyone was like wild.
Wild, yeah. We went to Lil Pags or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Lil Pags, which was like a little Italian restaurant on Wandsworth Road. So much fun. If you haven't been, you have to go. And that's where we met. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like, had we met before then? I feel like I knew you before then.
Maybe, yeah, because you know Bella, who I was just talking about, that is also celiac. You know Bella, don't you? Have you met?
Only through like the fitness world.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because I remember she was telling me that with the foods that she has and the foods that she eats, it's not something like an intolerance is somewhere where they would eat something and it might upset their stomach. Like she has to be careful if there's food, so you go to a party and there's like, oh, I've done you a gluten-free option. It's so sensitive to the fact where it has to be a different utensil, a different oven. Is it all celiac like that, or is it just
it should all be like that, but obviously everyone has different reactions. So like if I ate a piece of bread right now, you probably wouldn't know, like, as in I wouldn't throw up instantly, like I wouldn't have any instant reactions, whereas some celiacs would, but it's more like the long-term effects it has. So it can like lead to really
it can make you infertile, can't it, if you try to push through it.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy how the body can just do something like that.
It's mad.
And is it anything in your family? Has anyone got anything like that in your family?
No, which is also strange because most people, and I only realised this when I started my Instagram and I spoke to other celiacs, I don't know any, like most other people that celiac have like a dad or an uncle or someone else within their family that has celiac disease.
So they have a way of navigating their way through it.
Yeah, because it's genetic. Whereas me, I'm the only one. So.
Did this, it's not something that's like a burden at all or anything like that, but like, is this something that you found affected kind of family life as well, that things had to change at home, do you find?
Yeah, I think family life, no. Like I was really lucky, like my family were all really supportive and my mum was a really good cook and she would always make sure like I wasn't left out from my siblings and stuff, and my brother and sister were always really chilled and would happily have like the gluten-free pasta with me. But I think it probably more when I got to like late teens and was like dating boys and things like that, that's when I was like, this isn't a cool thing to have, I don't want to talk about it. And then that's when I found like I'd feel like a burden, like if I went to a friend's house I wouldn't want to be like, oh, I can't eat that. And yeah,
it's weird, isn't it? I mean, it's not something that should feel like that at all, because it's just part of you. But I know what you're saying. It's like when you're growing up in teens and stuff, if anything that makes you slightly remotely different, you're like, I must hide that. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you say you were kind of at the time when you were kind of dating guys or whatever, when you first started when you were younger, you felt like it's something that you couldn't openly talk about, or you didn't want to kind of notify someone that you had it.
Yeah.
So did you must have got to places where you went round someone's house or you visited and you just thought, oh, just eat this just to like...
All the time. And if any celiacs are listening to this, don't do what I did, because it's really, really stupid. But yeah, I did it all the time. I was so embarrassed that, like you said, when you're a teenager, you just want to fit in. You want to be the same as everyone else. And so I didn't want to sound uncool, even though now I'm older, I'm like, that isn't an uncool thing.
No.
But yeah, I would do it all the time. Or like, I remember going on a date and this guy was like, oh, let's go for pizza. We can share pizza. And I just like, oh, it's so romantic. And I ate the whole pizza. Like I used to eat pizza all the time, which is really
is
bad.
it something that would then affect you, what, like 2-3 hours later, or is it?
Yeah, and like the more research I've done on it more recently, it's not just like, oh, you might have a tummy ache and feel sick. It like can give you like brain fog. It can like really affect like your mental health, like energy levels. Like there's so many other things. And I look back now and I'm like, yeah, it definitely did all of those things. But yeah, it was mainly just like a really bad stomach ache. Definitely wasn't worth the date.
No, it's definitely not worth it. Yeah. Pizza's just, I mean, I love pizza. It's my favourite food ever. But you can still get really good gluten-free.
You can.
But Domino's and places like that are crap. I remember whenever me and my friends ordered like a normal pizza and the gluten-free one comes in, it's like,
always mini.
Gluten-free
like food is always mini.
And it's really expensive because it's like, That's ridiculous. That must have been something you find as well, is like having to find gluten-free options. It's never something that's just a simple option that you can get. You have to always get something that's even more expensive. Or
the expense thing, definitely. I mean, back when I was first diagnosed, you could get food on prescription. Being celiac, and in some cities and some towns you still can. I spoke to one of my online clients the other day and she lives up in Scotland. She still gets gluten-free food on prescription, but they don't do it here anymore. But yeah,
because gluten-free food's not cheap. Like you go down the
a loaf
the free
of bread
from
is
aisle,
like £3 something.
Yeah, it's actually insane. Because I don't have an intolerance or anything like that. I just sometimes, if I can get less gluten stuff, then I would. Like gluten-free pasta to me tastes exactly the same.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it?
And they do like these beetroot wraps from
Beef-free.
Yeah, and they're so tasty, but they're so expensive.
Yeah, I know.
Compared to a normal packet of wraps.
I was also speaking to someone the other day and he was telling me that with the whole cost of living crisis, celiac, like people that are celiac really suffer because one, it's really expensive, but not necessarily for people like myself. I guess I'm privileged in the way that I can afford to go buy this food. But he said in places like children's care homes and stuff, obviously you have to be so careful with
Yeah.
cross-contamination, and there's so many kids there, and if there's a celiac, they can't afford to buy, like, spend £4 on a loaf of bread for one child, and in some families,
insane.
like 3 family members might be celiac.
Yeah.
Like, that's so much more expensive, and he was saying it's a real issue, and I'd never even
Yeah.
thought about it before, but yeah, it's really sad to think that people can't even afford just to eat a piece of toast.
I know, it is crazy, because it's not like, it's not a choice, you know, being
No.
vegetarian and something like that, that's
Yeah.
a choice. But something like celiac, it's not a choice. It literally will fuck you up in the long term if you keep eating
Yeah,
it.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I know from talking to people as well that I think there's a big misconception around celiac. So do you feel like sometimes people think that that's you're Annabel the celiac, or you just Annabel that happens to have celiac? Like,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, before I started, like, an Instagram page, people didn't even know I was celiac. Like, I
Yeah.
had friends from school be like, what is this celiac thing? But yeah, at work now, like, all my colleagues make fun of me if I ever mention, like, celiac or gluten-free. They're like, oh, you didn't mention it, you celiac. But no, I think it's that thing as well. Yeah, like, you know how sometimes vegans get a bad rep and they're like, oh, you vegan. I
Yeah.
feel like celiacs do as well. I feel like if you've ever got an intolerance or an allergy, people are going to be like, or a dietary requirement, should I
Yeah.
say. People are like, oh,
yeah,
she doesn't eat loads of things.
yeah.
Like, I don't know.
She's not coming to my dinner party.
And one time I went on a date with this guy, and he was like, I can't lie, I thought you were going to be quite vanilla. And I was like, sorry. And he was like, like, you don't eat gluten.
And
You're one of those
And
girls.
he thought that was going to make you want to go on another date with him.
I mean, I did date him for like 4 years.
Did you? He called you vanilla.
And he
That's
called
a
me
red
vanilla.
flag.
I know, I should have seen the signs. But yeah, but on Instagram, I guess all I do talk about is
Yeah, but it's different, isn't it?
celiac
Because that's not. I think that's what a misconception as well with social media is people think that. People forget that what you do on social media is like that's your brand, that's what
Yeah,
you're promoting,
exactly,
that's what
exactly.
you're selling. That's not necessarily how you live your life every day.
Yeah.
You don't walk around the streets going, "Do you want a gluten-free brownie?" Do you? Like,
No, exactly.
yeah, so I think that's a massive misconception with all those kind of things. So
Yeah.
I can see why from a dating point of view, maybe some people they have these kind of preconceptions, don't they, of you?
Yeah.
How's your dating life going now, though?
Oh, Charlie, are we going down this route? Have you got like a gin and tonic or something?
Yeah, I wish.
You can ask my therapist that question. No, I'm joking. Not kind of. Yeah, dating life, no.
And how is like the dating life now with that though? Like, are you at an age now where you're like, I'm celiac, bang straight up, or is it still
Yeah.
something that you find that you still sometimes slightly hold back?
No, I think honestly, only within the last maybe year or two am I like,
Yeah.
nah, this is me. But
Yeah.
it's very emotional, deep. This is me.
Yeah.
But no,
This is me. Accept me or leave me.
A lot of the time they've seen my Instagram, so they know anyway. But also,
Yeah.
I'm just like, if someone doesn't like me for something that I can't change,
Well, yeah.
then I'm not going to be with that
Bye.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, next
and actually,
person.
I have to say, I've not had any really bad dating experiences
Yeah.
from a celiac perspective.
I think being like I said, I think there's a difference, isn't there? Whereas
Yeah.
like I think if someone is like, for example, dating a celiac to me wouldn't really change much. I would obviously have to change the gluten stuff, but to me that wouldn't be so much of an issue because it's not
Yeah.
like you're not telling me that I should do something because you believe in a certain thing. It's more like you're saying I need you to do this for me because it's going to make me unwell.
Yeah.
I think it's very different to like
Exactly.
if I was to maybe date someone that had a food preference and was like, when you're with me, I don't want you eating this.
Yeah.
That's two different things.
No,
isn't it?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I get asked questions sometimes on Instagram. People are like, oh, would you only ever date another celiac? And I'm like, no. Like, as in, it's hard enough to find
Yeah.
anyone. I'm not minimising it even less. But no, like, for example, like people I've dated before, they've always been really good. Like, they'll research like gluten-free
Yeah.
restaurants. Will be like, can you eat this? And
Yeah.
like, I've never had
I do
anyone-
think there's a lot more awareness around it now.
Yeah,
So
people
people
have
are a
heard
lot
about it more now.
Yeah. So obviously we're talking about like the awareness of celiac disease. Is it the class as a celiac disease? What is
Yeah.
it? It's called
Celiac
celiac
disease.
disease. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the awareness of that's definitely getting kind of larger and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously your Instagram promotes this, but do you have kind of, what are you, someone that's just found out
Yeah.
that they're celiac, what are your kind of top tips go to, like if they're getting into fitness and they're a celiac, what would you recommend?
Top tips. This is a good question. Definitely always be organised. And by that, I mean, like, I always take snacks or have food with me on the go. I swear by meal prep. Maybe that's the fitness in me, but I think
Yeah.
it's also the celiac in me as well, where, you know, I want to make sure I'm eating enough to fuel my body for what I
Yeah.
do, but also I want to know that
Yeah.
it's not going to harm me.
Because there's
and-
like one thing of eating a celiac, diet, and then there's eating a healthy celiac diet.
Yeah.
Like you want to make sure you're hitting all of the correct foods, not just going, oh, I'm eating a gluten-free pizza. Yeah. You want to still be eating the right foods, but just making sure it's gluten-free, right?
Exactly. Loads of people say to me as well, when you're like, oh, I don't eat gluten, they're like, oh, you must be really healthy. And it's like, no, like I'm healthy for other reasons, not just because I don't eat gluten. So yeah, that would definitely be my first thing. Just be prepared always. And I swear by meal prep, whether it's like my overnight oats in the morning or I'm constantly eating out of Tupperwares. But I'm fine with that. Second thing is definitely kind of what we've been talking about. Like, don't be afraid to speak up about it. Like if a friend asks you for dinner, don't be afraid to be like, can I bring something, or what are you making? Like, they're your friends. They're going to understand. It's not something to be embarrassed about. And if they don't,
they're a shit friend. Bye, friend.
Literally. Often as well, like, you can't also expect everyone to fully know what it is or understand. So, like, if you are dating someone new and they're like, oh, is celiac the same as being a vegan? Don't get annoyed by it. Like, they don't know. Like,
because to you it may sound like a stupid question, but to them they're asking from an inquisitive point of view, not to be like muggy.
And my other tip as well, and I say this a lot on my Instagram, is if you can, I know it's not for everyone, but getting into baking and cooking and like making things at home and kind of building that up as a habit is what helped me so much. It helped build my relationship back up with food after like not being able to eat much, but also just then having more of an understanding of what you're eating and the things you can have. And
because it's like what we were saying earlier about the transition stage, is like if you learn to cook and you learn to bake, you actually realize it's not that restrictive.
No,
because there are so many things out there that you can do with it.
So they're probably my biggest tips. Oh, and Asda does the best gluten-free range, I think.
Oh, really?
Out of all the supermarkets.
Interesting. I don't have an Asda by me.
Yeah, there's a big one by me. It's a bit of a dodgy walk there, but it's worth it.
It's worth the gluten-free bread.
Yeah, literally, I run there.
So what kind of, you do a lot of baking stuff on your Instagram, don't you? You do a lot of like treats. What's your favourite? What's your go-to gluten-free recipes?
Ooh, now you're testing me. I love just like...
Are you sweet or savoury? First question, that's it.
From a cooking baking perspective, I like much prefer making sweet things. But if you put a plate of chocolate in front of me or a plate of like crisps and dip, I'm gonna go for the crisps and dip and have a gin and tonic with it.
Same, yeah.
Every time. But yeah, I don't know. I love just baking like classics. Like you can't beat like a good carrot cake or like Victoria sponge or like anything like that.
I love cake.
Yeah, so anything.
Carrot cake is so good.
So yeah, that'd probably be my go-to.
And it's quite so with the going to baking and stuff, it's the change that you have to make it's mostly just the flour, isn't it? So you just change to... Is there a different way that you have to cook those to how you would cook normal food, or... Because it doesn't have... It's slightly grainier, isn't it?
And obviously it doesn't have the gluten in it. Sometimes I find baking recipes that use like ground almonds instead of flour work better and things like that. Also, I always put in a bit of extra baking powder to help it rise a bit better. But there's a fine line between putting too much in so that it tastes
volcano.
like... But otherwise, no, I kind of just follow normal recipes and it's trial and error. I mean, I've had a lot of failed recipes, but...
So we're going from, you found out your celiac and then you started getting into fitness. Has fitness always been something that did your being diagnosed with celiac, did that inspire you to become and get into your fitness, or was this something that kind of came along the way? Yeah,
it kind of came a bit later. I mean, growing up, I did loads of ballet and dance, and so I was always pretty active. I also always loved running.
Annabel active.
There we go. You're so silly. But yeah, the whole fitness thing kind of came a bit later. I think once I kind of moved to London, started working when I was like 19, I kind of dropped off being as active as I was. And then what kind of made me get into it more, my sister actually had quite a bad accident, and she was a Pilates instructor, and basically by being so fit and strong and healthy, that kind of helped with her recovery. And it kind of was eye-opening to me. I was like, actually, exercise isn't just a way to lose weight and look a certain way. There's so much more to it.
There is so much more,
that was kind of what spurred me into it. And then I started getting into the gym, and I started like talking to people in the gym and asking about it. And then I decided to qualify, and here we are.
So what did you qualify as a personal trainer, or did you do like your level 2, start in a gym, or did you go straight in for the PT?
I started off just like writing like programs for friends and like chatting to like PTs in gyms and just doing all of that. And then I was like, actually, I want to be fully qualified myself. So then I did, the level 2, level 3. Then I worked in a gym back in Colchester for a bit. So got that experience up. Then I started online coaching. So it kind of all just like... Just
slowly
fell into
progressed.
Place. Yeah.
So you found fitness, and then obviously your social media just started to grow. Did you ever expect that to kind of happen?
No, Never. Like, I only started my Instagram page as like a secret page that no one knew about. I can't even remember the name of it, but I used to just post my baked goods, like cakes and stuff. And then another PT was like, it was just after, I think it was lockdown time or just after lockdown, and was like, look, you might want to start promoting your business on Instagram because we don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't. Like, my personal Instagram, I literally would post like once a year, and it'd be like a picture of me holding a glass of wine, like a night out with the girls. So then I just started it from that, and I never planned to go down the route of like working with brands or like speaking to people like I do now about celiac disease. It just, that was never on the agenda. But
it just kind of escalated one thing to the next. So you've had, obviously, you've been working with a few brands and stuff. So how did that come about, and what has been your kind of favourite things that you've done since starting that Instagram career?
Instagram career, it's so weird, isn't it? Like, I never, I guess, I think it was more just from talking about being celiac, posting foodie recipes, and just filming like you know how it is, you just post bits of your life, like what you get up to, what you do in the gym, and then people message you, and you just building up that like engagement with your audience, I guess. But for me, I think I found more from TikTok was where I kind of engaged more with people. Do you find the same?
Yeah, I think the same. I think especially during the just after the lockdown period, I think because it was so new, it was just like you could reach such different audiences, I think. Instagram felt like, until they started to bring in the reels, which was like just after lockdown or something like that, I think there wasn't that reach to people that kind of were outside your areas. Whereas like TikTok, I would sometimes get videos and it's like 38% of the engagement was Saudi Arabia, and you think that would never happen on Instagram. Like, So is your audience, would you say, where is your audience? Is it mostly UK based, or is it globally based?
It is mostly UK, but there's a lot of US and quite a lot of Australia, which is random.
Just
Australians are cute, so. Exactly.
And they're quite like up there with their nutrition and stuff out in Australia.
Yeah, they are. Like when I went out a couple of years ago, like they were so good for the whole gluten-free thing, and they're I feel like they're just generally really active, and like everyone's out and about really early, and it's good vibes.
It's because they have the weather.
Yeah,
here you wake up at 7 o'clock and you go, fuck that, I'm get out there. But out there they're up at like 5 to swim.
I know.
So with the social media and stuff, you just kind of started, and then it just kind of escalated from there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of realised when I first started, I'd hide behind the camera and just post pictures of food or me at the gym. But I realised the more you're yourself, that's how you get more of an engaging audience. And like the questions I get from people all the time, whether it's new parents with kids that are newly diagnosed with celiac disease, or people that have been celiac for ages. I used to feel so I didn't know a single celiac till I started this Instagram page, and now I have like thousands of people message me about being celiac. So I think if I can help answer like a few of their questions that maybe I had, whether it was like, oh, how do you date being a celiac and stuff, it might sound silly, but they were all things I used to wonder and talk about. So I just want to try help people feel less alone as much as possible. And I'm trying to think of like new exciting ways that I can kind of promote this even more, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, or there's talks of even maybe me making a book or something. I feel
that's interesting.
Yeah, just like a celiac guide or like a Q&A, like all the questions that aren't necessarily that you get from a dietitian or the medical specialist.
You should do like a book with kind of like some of your favourite recipes and like talking. Is that what you're doing?
You're way ahead of me.
There we go.
So we'll see. But lots of good and exciting ideas. But
that is very exciting. I think it's definitely one of those things where there are probably kids out there, like you said, your family were very willing to help and stuff like that. But there probably are people that are blissfully unaware of what it is. 100%. So it will help those kids out a lot, just being able to... it's all to do with relatability, isn't it? They can relate to you, and then it will help them out massively. That's a great thing to be doing. So obviously we mentioned a bit of dating earlier, and dating is a celiac. So on that, in your dating life, what's kind of going on? Anything new, anything great to share with us?
Charlie, sit back and relax. Let me tell you my stories.
Really?
Nothing new. Honestly, the last... What month are we in? November. The last 11 months has just been a dating disaster. Nothing to do with celiac, by the way.
Okay, that's good
More to do with me.
Yeah, okay.
I think, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I think being the age we are, like in our late 20s, all my friends, I've either got half that are like settling down, weddings, babies, buying houses, flying with their careers, or the other half are kind of going through these like quite big breakups because they've realised it's not their time, or and it's just a real like all or nothing stage. And I think where I was at the nothing stage, I say nothing stage, there's still lots going on, but you know what I mean, from a relationship perspective. And I just kind of felt like, oh my goodness, I'm not keeping up with all my friends.
Overwhelmed.
And like I'm 29 and I don't have a boyfriend and da-da-da-da.
Yeah, and you kind of like focus on what other people, it's like the whole, you should always focus on your own lane, but you see other people.
Yeah.
I've got that, like we had one big group where we were all single, and now more and more people are becoming kind of, and you're thinking, I never used to be like someone that was desperate. I never really wanted to be in a relationship, but you start seeing other people and you start comparing it. You think, shit, should I be doing that? Should I be doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, and I mean, I'm not putting you all in a category, in a box here. Like, I do think that guys have like, I'm not saying I want to settle down and like be married and have babies right away, but I think guys feel like they don't have as much of like an urgency to do that as soon as possible.
I would agree with that.
I don't know, I'm waffling. I don't want to say the wrong thing or offend anyone here. But like, for example, I went on a date with a guy the other week and he was 32, like seemed like he had his life together. He didn't have his life together and completely messed me around. And I realise now, like that was a reflection on him, and he was kind of acting like my brother's age would act. I mean, but he was acting like a early 20s. That's
going to be me at 32. I know. I'm going to be there like, you want to go karting? That'll be me. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I do
think as well. I think for guys, it's a bit different as well, because I think with girls, you also do have almost like a body clock as well. In that time, you do have a time period, so to speak. Really, I mean, that's why loads of people are now freezing.
I know. I mean, I used to really worry about all that kind of stuff, and I'd be like, oh my god, I need to be married by this age, have kids by this age, and now actually, with the help from my therapist, I must say, but I'm just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, I've built a career, I'm doing like all these other things with my life. It doesn't matter. But it's taken me a while to get to that mindset.
Socially told that it's like, you leave school, get a job, kind of, you follow that simple kind of lifestyle.
Exactly.
If you're not on that right path yet. Because I remember when I was like at primary school and I used to be like, I'm going to be married and have kids at like 26. And then I got to 26, like, fucking nowhere near that. Yeah.
Yeah, same. And it's like every time I go home, like, love her to bits, but like my grandma's like, so, any man on the scene? And I'm like, there was a point earlier this year when I wasn't emotionally stable. My mum would have to like ring my grandma in advance and be like, don't ask Annabel. But I think as well, it's a generation thing, isn't it?
It is, definitely. And it's definitely getting like later for sure.
Yeah.
Because like you said, grandparents, I think my grandparents were married at like 18.
Yeah, same.
So young. And then my parents were 28, so I'm like, maybe I'll be 38. Who knows?
Yeah.
So obviously you said your dating life's not going that well. What makes you say that?
I mean, I've just been on a few tragic dates recently, and no, they're not tragic. I think where I came out of a relationship, I just was like, I didn't want to be single, but I also knew I wasn't ready to date again. And then when I've now tried to not put myself out there, but I've gone on dates again, I just think I know what I want from someone so much. But I think as well, when you get older, that becomes more clear to you. Whereas when I was younger, like me and my housemate talking about it the other day, like we were so confident. I'd go on dates all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just a waste of time, isn't it? That's why you don't.
Exactly.
It's like I value our time now.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not going to go and if I don't think that we're going to get along, I'm not going to go and waste my time.
Yeah, exactly. But when I was younger, like I remember, so I didn't go to uni, so I moved to London when I was 19, I think, and worked straight away. And I remember I would get the tube every day from East Putney, and there was this guy who got on my carriage. So I've gone off on a tangent here, but I feel like you'll like this story. There was this guy that got on my carriage, like the stop after me, and we'd always do the morning commute together. And he was so good looking. He looked like that actor, what's his name? Jake Gyllenhaal? Is that
Jake Gyllenhaal, yeah.
Yeah, that guy. Anyway, I used to like obsess over him. I was like 19 though. And then I remember texting my sister and being like, oh, there's this really cute guy on the tube. And it was when, I think I mentioned earlier, like my sister had gone through like quite a life-changing accident and stuff, and she was like, life is short, ask for his number. And I was like, I'm the girl, I can't ask for his number. Anyway, this went on for like a month, me and this guy catching eyes on the tube. Anyway, then I knew he got off of Victoria, so I was like, right, the stop, I can't think what the stop is before Victoria, St James's Park maybe, can't remember. Anyway, I got up notes on my phone, bearing in mind we're on a loud tube in rush hour, like packed in like sardines, and I wrote on my notes, I was like, you're cute, what's your number? And just handed my phone to him on this busy tube. Anyway, he just like looked up and smiled, typed something, handed it back, got off at Victoria. And then I looked and he just like, he'd put his name, his number and a kiss and was like, text me. And I was like, oh my God.
It
like
worked.
I'd never experienced anything like this. Like I was 19.
Yeah.
Like and I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Anyway, so I left it like a few days, you know, trying to play it cool.
Yeah.
And then messaged him and we went on a date and it was actually really fun, but it turned out he was really old. Well, not really old, a lot older than me at the time.
How old?
He was 38 and bearing in mind I was 19.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No.
I mean, I had a bad judgment of age. Clearly, he didn't look 38. Anyway, he was really nice, but I think we both realised...
He was 38, and we're, now, 28? So he would have been 48 right now. Daddy?
And I remember we sat there and I was drinking wine, and then I didn't ask him his age. Like, 'cause you don't just go in and be like, how old are you? But I think it came up later and I was like, oh my goodness, okay, I've really misjudged this. But anyway, I went for it though.
But that's,
I was confident.
I think people need to be more like that.
I agree.
I think, yeah, a lot of people are just so hesitant. Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet, because the worst they're going to just say is no.
But let me ask you a question. So like the other day I got on the tube and there was this cute guy opposite me and I was like catching eyes with him, you know, and I was like, this is it. This is our love story. This is what my, like the best man is going to say at our wedding, how we met. And I was like, he's going to ask my number. Anyway, he gets off, smiles at me, didn't ask my number. Now, okay, maybe he was married, maybe he had a girlfriend. But would you go up, if you caught eyes with a girl and you like knew you'd seen each other and you were single, whatever. Wait, are you single?
Yeah,
you're single.
Yeah.
Oh, we should date. No, joking. Totally joking, guys. Would you go up to a girl and be like, "You're cute, what's your number?" Or would you not? I'm just generally
If I've had a
interested.
drink, but I wouldn't be able to do it sober.
Would you not?
No, but I think this boils down to, I think this whole thing, this kind of society that we live in, is we're all quite closed off now. We're all kind of open on our phone stuff. Because I did notice, I went to the US, I was there for like 3 months, and going, like, if someone was looking at you from a bar, you would go up and talk to them. They were very open to conversation.
Yeah.
Where I have had experience here, where I've gone up and maybe spoke to a group of girls, they've been like,
yeah.
We have that, I think in London, we have that very kind of, we don't know you, like, why are you talking to me type thing.
Yeah, I do agree.
And I do think elsewhere, even in the north of the UK, they're much more open to conversation. So I think that's where my hesitation comes from with going up to someone. But if I've had a drink, I'm a bit different. I'm like, fuck it. You just get that confidence, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
No, I don't think I could. I think there are times when I'm like, I want to, but my like anxiety's like, no, don't do it. So rather than actually just take the hit, if them saying no, I'd rather just not ask, which you shouldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah, you should ask.
I should ask.
Yeah. Any guys listening on the tube, if you see me, ask. No, I'm not desperate, guys. I'm really not.
She'll hand you her phone to put your number in. You should just start walking up and down the tube being like, can anyone put their number in my phone, please?
Don't.
To this guy that you were kind of making eyes with on the train, are you like gutted? Like, was he, was he a bit of you?
I mean, he was a bit of me, but no, I'm not gutted, you know.
What did he look like? What was he wearing?
Well, the thing is, because I was it was at Canary Wharf, so he was in a nice suit. I'm a sucker for a nice suit.
Oh, yeah. City boy, is that what
He
you
was
want?
a city boy. And I was like a scruffy mess on my way back from coaching, having been up since 4 a.m. So, yeah, he probably took one look at me and was like, that girl's sweaty and needs a shower. No, I'm not gutted. It's like a sliding doors moment, though, isn't it? Like, I don't know.
What's a sliding doors moment?
You must have heard that phrase.
No, I don't think so.
It's like a really famous film, and it's basically like this girl runs on the train and the doors close, and like it's what her life would be like if she didn't make that train, or what her life would be like if she'd got on that train.
So it's like how each little decision actually changes the way in which your path goes. Interesting. No. Well, if he's out there, whatever his name is, city boy, Annabel is single and she's looking for a boy in a nice suit. So if you see her on the tube, give her your number.
You made me sound really desperate now.
She's not desperate though. She'll text you in 2 to 3 working days to show you that she's cool.
Sorry, I've been really busy with work. Yeah. That old chestnut. Right, I'm getting embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed. It's fine. You should just start going up to. You should just start doing a tube date. You should set up a thing, tube dating. You get on a I don't know, Temple, wherever the hell you get on it, and just start doing the city line up and down between 7 and 10 every morning, walking around your phone.
No, I think I'll have to go earlier than that. I want the driven guys.
Okay.
The guys that have no time
5 a.m.
for me.
club.
The 5 a.m. club, they've got no time for me.
You're on the tube with chopsticks in your eyes trying to go, you want to date me?
Yeah, that's my time. No, my sister actually said to me the other day, she was like, oh, you should create a CEOliac dating app for
oh my God, yeah.
And then I was like, I don't want to date a CEOliac. She was like, why? I was like, that gives me the ick. She was like,
you have an ick for a guy having the same thing as you. Girls and their icks is like next level. The kind of icks that girls come up with. The fact you have an ick for someone that is exactly the same as you.
I know, but like one celiac's fine. Imagine 2 of you like trying to choose where to eat. Like, I mean, at least you wouldn't need to stress about cross contamination. But
you wouldn't know, and you wouldn't have to like kind of pre-plan. You'd just always be like, we're going to a celiac place.
Anyway.
Fucking hell. You've got to get in that. Yeah, you've got to get in that tube and just start handing out your number. I think that's the way forward.
Okay, well, you'll see.
Just put a poster up. We'll go around the city of London. We'll get a car with your face on it. Annabel active looking for a city boy, and you can hang out the roof and just hold your phone out.
Yeah, let's not.
So you say you've been dating. Obviously, you're using dating apps and like Instagram. What's your thought of how do you feel about a guy DMing you? Are you open to that?
Yeah, I am. It depends what the DM is, though. Like, there's such a
voice note.
I love a voice note. If any of my friends are listening to this, they know. Like, I'm that person that sends like 5-minute voice notes.
Oh my god, I have you on. Do
you have me on fast forward?
Yeah, 1.5 or 2 solid. That's scan listening.
But yeah, I don't. It depends. Like, if it's someone who like follows me and like, I don't know, and then they send a message in reply to like a story or something relevant, then it's the ones when you get and it's like, hey, lovely, would you be open to messaging me and talking to me about this? And I'm like, no, that
not
is
a phrase like that. No.
Yeah, like
you must get some weird DMs. You must get some guys like sliding in with some really weird shit.
Yeah, you do get some weirdos.
Okay, come on.
When I was still living back at home, like with my parents, I went through this phase. I think you know how it is like when one like post goes viral and then that's when you get the weirdos. And this one post went viral. I got trolled so badly. But anyway, that's another story. But off the back of the trolls, I also got loads of weird messages. I have never received so many dick pics in my whole life, but not even dick pics, dick videos. And like it got to the point.
And they sent them by Instagram.
Yeah. And anyway, and I was obviously at home with my mum and I was like, Mum, do you want to see something? And I filmed her reaction of one of them and she was like, that's not real. And I was like, Mum, it is. And then I posted her reaction on my story and was like, if you send me these, I show them to my family. But yeah, that was a bit weird.
That would have made such a good TikTok.
I know. I didn't use TikTok back then. I should have.
Oh, that would be so great.
But yeah, you do get a few weirdos. But
yeah, there's so many weirdos out there. I always get people asking me for my feet pictures.
Yes, I get that.
I found a website of me. Have you heard of WikiFeet? There's a fucking website called WikiFeet, and basically they take people from social media or like TV or whatever, and they search through their pictures on social media or from TV or whatever and find clips where their feet are showing, and they rate your feet out of 10.
Stop.
Guys, I have an 8.8 out of 10. I got 8.8 out of 10 for my feet. I'm so happy.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And my feet are not that great, but I'll take 8.8.
I feel like I actually have quite nice feet, but they're not nice right now because I ran a marathon and my toenails fell off.
You should Google yourself.
Maybe I
Type in Annabel active WikiFeet and see if you've got a page that comes up.
You're going to do this.
God, because you'll see them and it's like, and they put these pictures on this website and then people can go into each picture, comment on the picture, they can rate the picture out of 10 and then you get an overall score. It's insane.
That's bizarre.
Insane.
I'm definitely going to look later.
Yeah. Charlie's feet.
Yeah.
And then what about dating apps? So one of my favourite things to watch on social media, I don't know if you've seen these, is like when people do the voice notes on Hinge and people reply to them.
Sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any on yours?
I don't have any voice notes on, no. And also, I'm a bit weird. Like, I do have Hinge, but I don't really like it. Like, it was when me and my ex broke up and my friends were like, just get Hinge. And like, it's one of those things, sometimes you have a scroll and then sometimes you come off it and you're like, that has not made me feel good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have time for this. But the disastrous date I went on a couple of weeks ago, he was from Hinge. So now I'm anti-Hinge again. I've deleted it again. I'll be back downloading it probably on Sunday night, but right now it's deleted.
I need someone to go to Winter Wonderland with.
Yeah, I'm not mad on dating apps. I mean, I love chatting and I love just like meeting people and chatting to people. And if I do speak to people on dating app, I don't want all this like backwards and forwards random chat. How's your day? I'm like, you don't know who I am. So don't ask my day. Let's meet for a drink.
I hate the games that people play. Yeah. Like you'll message someone and they won't message back for 4 hours.
I can't be bothered.
Okay, not that anyone's trying to, scoop me up. But if you are and you make me wait more than a solid 35 minutes, it's done. I haven't got the patience for that. I'm not waiting 4 hours for you to reply to me. I've forgotten about you by that point. Moved on. Bye-bye. I think it's a piss take.
Yeah, I'm like, we all know we're all on our phones.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's what I mean. You know someone's on the phone. I understand not replying straight away because it is a bit like, that would give me the ick.
If you're at work
have a really good day, how are you?
You're not going to be, totally.
Yeah, but like an hour,
it's when
2 hours,
like 2 days.
4 hours. Come on. Piss take.
Oh, you said 4 hours. I said 2 days.
No, 4 hours.
Shows how well my dating
I had someone reply 48 hours later and I was like, nah. So that's done. I'm sorry. There's no way this would ever work.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to get, what do you want for dinner? Come back on Friday. Oh, fajitas. Oh, I'll do that on Tuesday, mate. What the fuck? No, you just can't.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Do you use Hinge?
No. I use Hinge for a little bit, but actually, this is quite funny because where I live is right in the country. I'm actually moving out soon.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm moving to like near Wimbledon with my sister.
Oh,
but
nice.
maybe I'll use it a bit more when I get into London. But for me, like you said, that whole thing of putting time aside for someone, living in the country, there's absolutely nobody around where I live. So
Is your radius on like
100 miles. Yeah. I'm actually getting people in Calais. But when I move to London and stuff, it's going to be different because I'll, going out for a drink somewhere or going to a restaurant is a half an hour.
Yeah.
But for me to go out for dinner, I'm someone, I wouldn't let a girl ever pay. Like on a first date, I just wouldn't. So I'd always
That's
pay.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'd always pay. But for me, it's like, I don't want to waste my time on someone. If I've spoken to someone on Hinge and they're like, do you want to go on a date? I don't know anything about them. I go on a date. I commute into London. It's going to take me about an hour and a half round trip. I'm going to pay to get into London. I'm definitely going to pay for dinner. It's like 100 quid in about 5 hours. And I'm like, I don't want to waste my money and my time on someone if I don't know it's a vibe. Whereas like, if I'm in London, it's very different because I can pop out, for half an hour, go and have drinks for a couple of hours, then come back. It's not really an issue.
Yeah.
But from where I am right now, it's just too much. Like imagine being back in Colchester and you're trying to date someone in London. You have to commute 2 days a week.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I fully get that.
So maybe when I get in the town I will. But Hinge is great. I do think you can show a good bit of banter on the voice note. So I think it's a great feature.
Yeah, maybe I need to get more into my voice
I don't
notes.
think I would necessarily put one because I think I don't have the most masculine voices. So I reckon I could probably give someone the ick real quick. But I was like,
don't be so hard on yourself.
I think that like you can say like funny jokes and stuff. And when people keep it funny, that's when you get someone's attention.
Yeah. Who was it? Someone said to me the other day, they're like, oh, you're really funny. And I was like, guys, I want funny girls. I was like, that's not a compliment.
I think, people always say that, don't they? When they're like funny or if they're like, oh, you look so cute. And it's like,
yeah, you're like,
That's what I say to my dog. It's not a compliment.
Literally. My housemate and I put our radius, we put down that we lived in Battersea. I know, red flag, but where we live, like East London, we were getting like...
Do you live in East London?
Yeah, I'm an East London girl.
I didn't know that.
Can you not tell? I'm so edgy. No, we're in East London. But we weren't getting our, I don't know. I think where we live as well, we're there's loads of big bankers and stuff, and they're not on Hinge. They're busy doing their jobs.
Yeah.
We weren't getting any good people. So good people, that's horrible, but you know what I mean. So we put our location to Battersea, and now we're just getting all the red flags. And and then also when I went on a date with one of them the other day, he was like, "Also, where do you live?" I was like, "Oh yeah, East London," and he was like, "What? I thought you lived around here. Why?" And he got shirty that I changed my location. I was like, "God forbid I live not on your doorstep in Clapham or Battersea."
I know, that's the thing. I think there's that kind of stuff shouldn't be an issue because especially in London, it's so well connected. That's just crazy. If someone was like, "Oh, I'm from Leicester," I'm like, it's a bit of a push. That I'm not going to be jumping in the car every time I want to see you. But jumping in public transport's fine.
Yeah, but you say this. My sister and her husband, he's Australian, she's English. They met in South America. They're now married and they live in Australia because they had years of long distance back and forwards.
Do you know Bella?
So I think that's why I've got such high standards because I'm if you love someone or you want to be with someone, you'll make it work.
But I do think there's that saying, isn't there? It's like if they wanted to, they would.
Yeah.
Like if someone wants to do something, they will make time to do it. Obviously, there's a certain element of it, like I can't just suddenly pack up and move to Australia in this split second.
Yeah, exactly.
But, if someone's like, oh, I've got quite a busy Saturday, I've got tentative plans with my friend at brunch. Like if they wanted to see you, they'd be like, look, I've got brunch, but we can go for a coffee or something like that.
Yeah,
you make
totally.
time. So as soon as someone says they're too busy and stuff, if you're chatting to someone and they're like, oh, I can't do this weekend, if they've got a good issue, they're really busy, but if they're like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit it in, that's a red flag, straight away, really, isn't it? 100%. It's like, if you want to make time, you will.
Definitely.
So fuck those Battersea boys. Change it to, I don't know, where else do you want to go? Islington, Angel.
Yeah, there's a lot of good gluten-free restaurants around there. So, then they'll all be Coeliacs.
Isn't it?
It is quite
It's where
hip.
the cool people live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only just started wearing baggy pants. East is quite like that, though, isn't it? East is quite hip.
Yeah.
Everyone's all like...
I feel like we can't say hip. That makes it so not hip. And I know my work colleagues are all good. If they listen, they're going to be eye-rolling.
I thought hip was like when they... No, that is such a mum and dad term, isn't it?
You need to stop saying this.
Okay, they're not hip, were they? What's the term that we would use for them?
They're just cool.
Cool.
I feel like everyone around there's cool.
Yeah.
I feel quite uncool.
They have some really cool restaurants. The fashion is so different in like East and North East than it is to anywhere else in London, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like people are just not afraid to be themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. Like where I work is like Hackney way. And everyone's just so different and cool, and like everyone has their own style, and like you don't get that in like other parts of London.
You don't know, especially where we hang around like the Southwest people, don't we? So yeah, their fashion's not the same. Not the same.
No.
I literally cannot wait to move. I'm going to be in between like Wimbledon and Wandsworth soon. I'm super excited.
Nice.
We actually got a place with some banging kitchen, so you're definitely going to have to come around, and we're going to have to make some stuff for sure. 'Cause I love a cake and I love bacon, so I have to get you in the kitchen.
Can you cook?
Yeah.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Not to be modest, but I used to work as a chef in France. I worked in France for 3 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went to catering college after school.
Oh, look at you. We can do a collab.
Yeah, we could.
Film some cooking content.
Yeah, I'll just be there to eat
course.
and just be like, these are gluten free.
And where are you going to train? Have you got like a gym in mind? We'll have to train together.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I teach spin. So I'm going to look into third space because apparently they're looking for spin instructors.
Do you want to hear a cool story?
I do want to hear a cool story.
I once did a spin class with David Beckham.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I actually did.
A spin class?
Yeah, I'm not even lying.
David Beckham don't spin, does he?
He does. He does.
Where?
Soul Cycle. In London, this was.
Right.
Yeah, I went with, this was like pre-Annabel Active days. Like, as in, I wasn't Annabel Active then. I was just...
David Beckham spins?
Yeah.
I can't get my head around
and my
that.
friend was like, do you want to come to a spin class with me? There's a new place that opened and it was Soul Cycle. I want to say it was round... somewhere near Soho, like around that way, I think. Anyway, I was like, yeah, cool, we'll go and get brunch. We get there and we're taking off our shoes and stuff. And then my friend was like, don't look, but... oh no, before we went down, they were like, you've got to put all your phones in the lockers, like no phones in the spin room and stuff. And I just thought it was just like a gym rule, maybe it wasn't anyway. And then my friend was like, don't look who's next to you. Classic me, I was like, who? And it was David Beckham. It was David Beckham. And then I was like, oh my goodness, and I was all flustered for the whole class.
Is he just as pretty in real life?
Yeah, he was. And then we went in the spin class and it was all like candlelit. Have you ever done a Soul Cycle?
No.
Yeah, it was very like soul-y.
Oh, okay.
Like it wasn't just a cycle.
Oh, okay.
Like there was a lot of like affirmations. He was at the front of the room, had his top off. He was going for it. And me and my friend were just there behind, like pedaling, like, oh my goodness.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a really cool story.
I know.
That's like an A-list celeb.
Yeah, that's like an actual celeb, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not like something that you've just happened to see on TV. That's like probably one of the biggest English footballers ever.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
That is a fucking cool story.
Anyway, I'll have to come to one of your spin classes.
You will, yeah. I'm not quite as good as David Beckham, but I compete for your paces.
Nice. Have you ever done F45?
No. I know what F45 is, but no, I've never done it.
Okay, well, I'll come to a spin.
I will come to your
F45.
F45. Yeah, I will come to your F45. I won't go to F45 otherwise. It's like too much going on for me. My brain's so intense.
Yeah, it is quite loud.
It's just like there's a lot of
it's like,
and
like everyone doing everything. Yeah. But yeah, I think people always think that before they've ever done a class, and then when you're actually in the class, you're like, it's actually quite structured.
I stayed at my friend's house in Fulham like a couple of weeks ago, and then there's an F45 in like near Fulham Broadway.
Yeah.
And it was that busy that there were two people outside the front doing it on the little grass.
Really?
I was like, I would have gone home, fucking on the side of a street doing fucking burpees and kettlebell. Nah. There's a bagel shop next door.
It's because it's popular.
Yeah. Fucking, yeah. I know. I saw it and I was like, nah, not for me. Yeah, I'd give it a go, for sure. I'll try any fitness thing. We should definitely do some kind of fitness thing. Actually, on my previous episode, there was a guy called Michael who does like these tough mudders and like tough runners. We should do one of those.
Yeah, I know. I need to find a new challenge because I ran a marathon a few weeks ago. Again,
oh, yeah, you did,
in case
didn't
you
you?
didn't mention that 1,000 times.
Yeah, how was that?
You know what? It was really good. I loved it. I loved every second, apart from the rain. But it was really fun.
You actually enjoyed it?
Yeah, I did. Which I can't believe I'm saying that.
Did you get a point where you didn't enjoy it? Was there like a wall?
No.
Oh,
my training runs, yes. But that, on the day, I just had such a good time.
Which one did you...
It was in Amsterdam.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did it with my brother. It was fun. But yeah, now I've done that, I feel like a bit lost. I need something else. I've got High Rocks in a couple of weeks. Have you done that?
No. Well, so I trained yesterday and I'm absolutely in agony. And the 3 of the people that we were training with yesterday are all doing High Rocks.
Are they?
So there's like 6 of us. 3 did the one in Dublin just now.
Yeah.
And then these guys are doing the one in the UK.
Nice.
And they put me through my paces yesterday and I was like, I could never do this. Like I would have to train like a lot.
Yeah.
It's next level. Like lifting under fatigue is just insane.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to
And it's lots of running.
Yeah, so the running bit I'm fine with. It's the lifting.
The bit I'm not fine with.
So I've got that, and then once I've done that, I feel like I need another challenge ready for next year.
I definitely want to do one.
To aim for.
A turf games. I'd like to do a turf games. I think a summer turf. What about turf?
Again, there's a lot of lifting in there.
You're not a fan of that?
Well, anything with running is more my vibe.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We should do a tough mudder then.
Yeah.
Or a rough runner, because that one you don't have to get in the mud.
Yeah.
It's just bouncy castles.
Yeah.
It's more fun.
Yeah, that sounds more
Yeah. Definitely do that one.
Nice.
Annabel, I just want to say a massive thank you for coming on and chatting to us. Guys, if you're listening and you are celiac, you are gluten-free, definitely check out Annabel's Instagram. She's got some fantastic advice, fantastic recipes. I'm super excited for this book that's going to be coming out. Hopefully it'll be in my stocking next year.
Thank you. No, thank you so much for having me. It was so good to catch up.
It was
and
great.
everyone to listen to it as well.